Hi. Hi, Olympia. How are you? Hi, everybody. I, Oh, hey, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. It's always nice when fam is in the building. Hi, Kelly. Kelly, how are you? I, Y'all, you know what? Little things agitate me. I just want to put that out there, right? And life is too short to be that way, but I'm petty McPetty sometimes. So, hey, cousin. So the cleaning people came um, the other day, and I don't like when people touch my toilet paper. I don't like it because they put the little funny, like, they make decoration with it or whatever, like on the roll. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's so annoying, like epically annoying. Like, I don't like it, right? And it's super annoying. Hold on. Okay, here I am. So anyway, we're waiting for Dr. Sheila to jump on. Sorry. Oh, there's Dr. Sheila. Toilet paper annoyance. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I want people to stop. I want them to stop. And I'm going to tell them to stop. Hi, Dr. Sheila.
Hello.
Everybody, here's Dr. Sheila. I just FYI, I was just telling everybody how annoyed I get when the cleaning people come and they touch my toilet paper.
Do they turn it backwards?
No,
Do they
they do, like, like a
the
design
little
or something.
V? Hmm.
I just think it's a hygiene issue. Why are you putting your hands on it? So then I have to
Leave it.
go and
Cut it.
correct. Like, do you see? I mean, it's a hygiene issue, no?
Well, it's a hygiene issue, but we just kind of snip the little V off, and but bigger than that, the type of toilet tissue that we use is an issue as well
Tell us why,
because
really quick. Tell us.
endocrine disruptors.
Yes.
So that's a thing too. There is this website called Mamavation and
Momavation? Uh-huh.
Mamavation, Mama
Uh-huh.
Invasion. It is it's like Consumer Reports for all things
Yes.
edible,
Yes.
and we really, especially, I can't even pick out one group because endocrine disruptors can affect us
Yeah.
all, but especially those of us who are raising children and we have developing sex hormones and things like that. We really want to be mindful about any of that. But endocrine disruptors can affect us all because,
Right.
of course, PCOS, vitiligo, all of these autoimmune conditions are predicated on, not all of them predicated, but they can be affected severely by endocrine disruptors,
And
and
toilet paper can be one of them.
because it's bleached typically to make it nice and white and pretty and cute, and
And then why are we putting fragrance?
that part. So when we talk about, again, endocrine disruptors, you know, the sheets, the dryer sheets, and the fabric softeners, and all of the things that smell artificial and overpower, even the garbage bags now are scented. Garbage bags?
Because it's garbage, it's trash, right? But it's
Take it
interesting.
out.
We
Take it
just we
out.
just jumped in, right,
We just
guys? So
jumped in.
no, we did. And here's what's interesting. This is why conversations are important, right? Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting here riffing over the fact that, I don't want them touching my toilet paper. Don't
Mm-hmm.
touch it, right? And don't fold it. Don't do anything because I
Mm-hmm.
don't want your hands on the toilet paper, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
then have to get rid of a few layers because that's how freaky I am, right? But Dr. Sheila jumps in and says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, fine. That's a problem. But guess what?
We
The
have some
type of
other
toilet
things.
paper you're using, right,
Yeah.
as you're doing what you need to
Yeah.
do with this toilet
Yeah.
paper, can be
Yeah.
an endocrine disruptor, right?
Yeah.
And we're wondering why we're having, you know, PCOS. We're wondering why we have, in some cases, don't jump down my throat, fibroids and the thing and the like, right?
So
Like all.
so let's back up a little bit and just hang there with fibroids a little bit. Fibroids typically in women, well, that's who gets them. They are hormone driven. And what are they driven by? Estrogen. And how do we get these faux estrogens in our bodies, competing for the binding site for our natural estrogens? Ta-da! Endocrine disruptors. That's what an endocrine disruptor is.
So there we
And
have
so,
it.
yeah, and so we wonder why, we're seeing, such it's almost an epidemic of fibroid developments. They're extracted and they grow back and they're extracted. No one talks again about root cause.
No, we're not doing that. We're
Right.
like, no, nobody's like acknowledging that. But
We don't know.
again,
We don't know where it comes from. Now we can remove them. But I don't know. They just.
and that's kind of why I wanted to tap in with you, right?
Yeah.
Because I honestly, I don't think people okay, so this is Dr. Sheila, everybody. Dr. Sheila is a chiropractic physician and also a functional medicine practitioner.
25 years.
Yeah, right. She didn't just jump in the game, right? She's global, right? She's here with us. Not old, but okay.
I'm proud of my age.
Well, you know how we feel about that, right? Like we're into it. We're there, right? So we want to be clear that Dr. Sheila is an expert, right? And
I also teach.
And there you have that, right? So as I promised when I founded shiftHER that we would always have experts on. If we're going to talk about things,
let's talk about them.
Let's talk about them with people that know about them and know how to treat them and can help us educate us on what's going on with our bodies. So I really wanted to talk about hormones with you today because I firmly believe that no one understands, the average human being, male or female, understand the importance of hormones. The loss of too much of something, right? And I'm always talking about perimenopause and menopause, right? But that's not where hormones begin and end, right? Right. And men have something called, let me get my word right. No. What's the word? Andropause. That no one talks about except you and Big Ron Jones. Right?
Yeah.
Nobody talks about that. And I had a thought recently, and I said, the hormone disruption with women is something. I mean, I was on the edge, right? And I mean, and not in a good way, right? Like not like, oh, I'm just not feeling well. Like I mentally I was struggling emotionally, physically, and the rest of it, right? So if men are also going through this simultaneously, right? But we're only acting like women are the only ones that this is happening to, right? Because men are losing with that andropause, are losing testosterone, right? And even they have progesterone, correct?
And it converts. It can convert. We'll keep it. I won't turn into an anatomy and physiology lesson.
Okay.
We'll keep it like mid-level.
We just want to keep it where people can understand it.
Right. And so, over time, if a male does not maintain his hormone levels, there are some tricky things that can happen to the testosterone.
So interesting. I want to stop you in your tracks on that.
Okay.
Though, right? When you say when the men, when they're not paying attention to their hormones, right? And those hormones are not only testosterone, right? FSH, right? Because I did a little research, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
FSH, right? Which is the same for women, correct? Right? Progesterone, which is the same for women. And then a word that I can't pronounce that starts with an L, that that stimulates testosterone.
Luteinizing.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you're the doctor. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm interested because if we're all going through this at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's dealing with it, no wonder everything becomes a powder keg. Like
Mm-hmm.
how we interact with each other,
Mm-hmm.
how we deal with each
Yeah.
other, the lack of empathy. I mean, I'm just saying, if these are the things that are
Mm-hmm.
happening and we're all on the edge with this business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we're not feeling well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, we're not aligned. So tell us.
Physiologically. So, a lot of things that we categorize as, oh, she's just mean, or oh, she's just snappy, or oh, he's just whatever. All he wants to do, and this is how he looks, and keep your t-shirt on. If we were to really sit down and look again at root
Mm,
causes, a lot of these issues that we can point to being
mhm,
adverse, we can actually find an answer for. And especially in this age,
mhm,
we all are, males and females, are starting to be affected by the waning, the ebbing and flowing of our sex hormones. And so, again, I start with and will end always with, test your levels. If you know that there are some things that you see that you don't like, or the belly is coming and the man boobs are coming, and you're seeing dry skin, and you're seeing vaginal dryness, and you're not interested anymore like you used to be, as those things coming together as partners, they look like, well, you're just not interested anymore in sex. Well, no, I don't like the way you look. And a lot of this turns into, well, I'm done with you, but the root cause is, it's physiology.
well,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll share this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so this is why I'm getting on your, this is why I'm going to be your patient, right? We've already talked about this,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Fine,
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm off. I
Mm-hmm.
know I'm off,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know this for a
Mm-hmm.
fact, right? I don't know what has happened in the last 6 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my scalp is so dry. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like dry, dry.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been like that before. My breasts are getting bigger by the minute.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm like,
Hormones.
something is
Mm-hmm.
off. All right.
And a lot of
So,
us have body awareness, but a lot of us don't know where to go in order to address this. The interesting thing about hormones for males and females, some of the symptoms can become stacked on top of each other. And this again is why I always suggest finding out your levels, because some dryness can be progesterone, some dryness can be your thyroid, some of it can be testosterone. And then once we start going to supplementation, and I'm just going to grab some of this, and I'm going to grab some of this, and then we say it doesn't work because we don't get the symptom relief, then there goes trying to do things naturally. I'm just going to go and do something more holistic in the way of treating the whole thing so I don't have to worry about it. I have heard and I hear patients say to me, I'll be glad when I'm done with my period. Um, you want your period.
yes, you do.
You only think you don't. When I hear patients talk about, oh, I've had a hysterectomy, I don't have a period anymore, I don't have to worry about hormones. You have ovaries. And so, again, educating ourselves and understanding how things affect us, and then once you get down to yourself, then figuring out, where am I in this trajectory, right?
So I will
Mm-hmm.
tell you a number of doctors that I actually
Mm-hmm.
respect, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was troubling to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I made it
Mm-hmm.
known, right,
Mm-hmm.
on social media to
Mm-hmm.
them that there's this whole thing about you don't need to test, right? And I get why they're saying it, because they're saying listen to women, listen to
Mm-hmm.
what they're saying, that
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes a test can come back and say,
Mm-hmm.
and what do they say? Nothing is
Mm-hmm.
wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, in my mind, it's bigger than that. You need to change providers, right? Like, it's like,
because you're a
just
customer. You are a customer. You're not tied and tethered to anyone.
correct. And as soon as you realize that, then you can get somewhere. But
Certain amount of freedom.
you're saying we should always test. I don't care. It's testing and listening, right? As a provider.
So, and not just because I believe so. If we look at, again, the physiology, when we look at the hormones are responsible. They're messengers, right? They connect one organ to another organ. It's like a mail carrying system. You know, you have the main mail system, one of them, let's take the pituitary gland. You got the anterior and the posterior. It will send a message from one area to your body to the next area of your body and tell your ovaries to release eggs. It's not connected, wired through nerves in that way. It's called a neuroendocrine system for a reason, because it sends out these hormones and these messengers to tell the body to do a thing. Well, it's not just your ovaries. And so when we start talking about, I'm only going to give a patient what they need, and when the symptoms go away, then I know they're fine. I understand, but it's still kind of a holistic, almost like, what's the stuff we give someone when they are they're swollen and inflamed. Cortisol is it's called a cortisol injection is a steroid.
Oh, yeah.
So steroids act globally, meaning they don't go to one area and affect inflammation. They affect inflammation all over the body. When we don't know what's happening, but the symptoms are so severe, they could possibly be life-altering. So you give a steroid to globally shut down the inflammation, and the symptoms calm down, hopefully till you can figure out the root cause. Same thing with hormones. If we're giving it in a global perspective, hormones, while they affect everything, meaning, there's the musculoskeletal syndrome of menopause. There's symptoms there. There's there's mood, there's sleep, there's hot flashes, on and on and on.
Right.
You can calm those symptoms down, but also estrogen can affect other areas of your body as well. And, I don't know, I'm not a medical doctor, so I cannot advise in that way, but as a integrative practitioner, if you come to see me, we're going to know where we are, because too much estrogen can affect, didn't we just talk about PCOS? Didn't we talk about fibroids? Didn't we talk about, so it won't happen with me.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
And guys, I just want to impress upon you, right? Like, we're trying to have a conversation just about.
We just started right off.
Yeah, we jumped in, right? About hormones, right? And because it's that easy, right? I mentioned toilet paper, and immediately you're like, yes, and here's what the deal is here, right? And I never even thought about that, right? So anything that touches our skin can be problematic, and could be an endocrine disruptor.
Those things that we inhale as well.
Oh, yeah. It's just everywhere, right? And we can't live in a bubble.
We can't.
Right? But the things we bring into our homes that we're making a choice.
A conscious choice about.
Right? Like we talked about last time. Perfumes. Right? Which is a huge, and I know this, it's a huge endocrine disruptor. And I am a pro. I love perfume. Love it.
I love the word.
Love it. And have spent so much money. But what I realized is that, especially when I came into menopause, that guess what? It doesn't work anymore. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah,
so I have to spray it on my clothes. And I was glad to say that's good. But our audience usually is in the age group, right? Right. Always 35 and up. Right. And I want to, we talked about last time that there are, the loss of estrogen is going to happen. Full stop. Right? I don't care how much you work out. It doesn't matter. The
aging
loss of
is
estrogen.
Aging. Yeah.
All right. So let's establish that. I want to make sure everybody's clear. For men, aging happens for you too.
That's right.
So the testosterone loss, the progesterone loss, the hormone loss is going to happen. It's a matter of what we do about it. Is this not correct, Dr. Sheila?
That is absolutely 100% correct.
All right.
Living for where you are, not where you were, right?
Which is very difficult, right? In the brain, because you're always looking. Listen, I got triggered. I got triggered the other day, and it was nobody's fault, right? It was just, I saw an image, right? And the person said, "Oh, post your swimsuit picture." And I was like, I haven't taken a swimsuit picture since 29. And I remember the day where I was, okay? And that was the last time. Of course, COVID happened, so I was very still for an extended period of time. The last time that I felt comfortable in a two-piece bathing suit, I don't care who's around me taking pictures, it's whatever. I was in the best shape of my life at that moment, right? And then everything just shifted, right? And it's hard not to always aspire to be back there versus moving forward, right? For where I am at the moment, meaning moving forward and still doing the right things, etc., but moving in a different in the new direction.
What if I said to you, what if I proposed to you that not only could you be, let's not say back there. What if I proposed to you that you could be better than you were back there?
Well, I believe that because I feel like I am better. There are other ways that I am better now than I've ever been in my life, right? And even at that point in 2019, one of them being, right, I looked at health and wellness from the outside in. Now I look at health and wellness from the inside out. The outward appearance and the great muscles and the abs and all the rest of it as a byproduct of what I've done on the inside. So that is a huge mindset shift for me, because people who are, as we say, ripped, right? They have heart attacks too.
That's right. They have heart attacks too.
And so, anyway, so I believe you, right? It's a hard vision, but I believe you, right? But how are you as a practitioner? What are the answers? Like, what are the answers to finding your wellness in a time when literally the loss of estrogen can cause strokes, heart attacks, plaque. I mean, you're not doing anything wrong.
Nothing.
And these things happening.
But just breathing.
Literally. Right? Yeah. I mean, and people say, like, you see on social media, people talk about their scare tactics. They're really not scare tactics. It's actually happening.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's an absolute real thing.
So what are the answers as it relates to prevention, to being better, being well, as it relates to the loss of hormones for men and women?
Okay. So I'll start with, all of this applies across the board. First, finding out where you are. Before we start jumping in the river and swimming, we have to put on our swimsuits. So figuring out where you are first. What's the issue here? Where am I physiologically? I cannot say enough about that, because again, sometimes when we are experiencing symptoms, your experience may be different from my experience. There are so many, and I'll start with estrogen, there's so many symptoms of perimenopause and menopause that for you may experience, and for me, I may not. I may be experiencing an increase in what I believe is allergies. As I get older, my allergies are increasing. Yeah, that's estrogen. Yours may be hot flashes. No, I don't get hot flashes. I get night sweats. It's all the same vasomotor symptom. You're just getting it when you go to sleep. So again, testing if you have anything, because most of us have some type of body awareness. You understand that something is different. Going and having your numbers checked always starts there. And then we go from the understanding that our bodies, again, were different than we were at 30 and 40. And so we have to figure out, it is my hope that someone would first figure out naturally, how can I start to affect change relative to my symptoms before I go from 0 to 1,000. There are so many options now, different than when our mothers were, at this age. There's so many options, from natural herbs to natural creams to HRT to BHRT, that can help mitigate the symptoms. So, first, knowledge. Second, a plan. Third, let's start executing the plan with the understanding from the beginning that I am 52. I'm not 32. I can't exercise my way out of it, because I understand, hopefully, a practitioner has explained to me that estrogen is in my freely movable joints. I have estrogen receptors. Estrogen is going to help mitigate inflammatory responses. So I used to run marathons. I can get out and run 15 miles, come back and go to work. Try it now with the ebbing and the flowing of the estrogen. So I know that I cannot do that safely, run marathons. And I also understand, because I've been educated again by my practitioner, that I am not building and storing muscle as fast as I did when I was in my 30s. So I have to eat differently. I have to sleep differently. I have to take and use food as medicine initially differently. So there is a path to better, healthier, but it requires a partnership, I believe, with a practitioner that can gingerly guide you. Same concept with men. You start to notice the large belly. You start to notice the man boobs. You know that your testosterone is being converted into estrogen. And we need to figure out what those hormones are. And we have to figure out, how do we start to stimulate the testosterone again? We can go from natural things all the way to BHRT and HRT. None of them are wrong. And there isn't any shame, because we all, as the old people say, just keep living. We're all going to arrive there, right?
Yes. Guys, and again, holler at me. Is this making sense? Are we making sense what we're saying? Because I really think this is important, that people understand there's no shame in what decision you make. But what Dr. Sheila is saying is that you need to find out where you are first, so before you start jumping out the window. Like, I went from 0 to 100, because I was like, what is
Help
happening?
me.
How is this happening? And I don't want to do it anymore. And it went on too long. And go ahead and give me whatever you got, because I want it now.
Because this is rough.
Right. And now, in talking to you and over the last few weeks, I'm really realizing that there are options, right?
Loads of options.
Loads of options, right? And I knew about some of them, but I was like, I got to get out of this hole, because I'm deep, deep, deep in the hole.
And sometimes you have to triage. Sometimes when you go to the ER, you have to triage. Right. We may have to take a steroid for a moment.
Right. Which is, that's a whole nother ball game, right? But like, even for men, you mentioned, right? Which really, that it really, well, a big light bulb went off. So the testosterone converting to estrogen. This is what's happening in men.
This is how the man boobs grow.
And the belly comes.
Yes.
So
that's a sign.
I just want to say it one more time for everybody.
And all the symptoms that go along with that. It's not just, it's the lethargy. It's the, they may not be interested in cuddling up and smooshing up, next to you. It's all of that. They go through these issues as well.
And men are very much shamed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, huge. I mean, I'm not saying that women aren't, because we are. But I mean, they are shamed as well, because who's rolling up in their doctor's office saying, hey, I know some things are happening, and there are bigger things happening than just I can't get an erection, right?
And
it's bigger than that.
And what you find is they're rolling up to the gas station, getting a little pill every now and then, and hey, I'm fine.
The what?
There you can purchase enhancement medications out of gas stations. I mean, that's
Real?
yeah.
Where have I been? I mean, like, what? And who and what person would do that?
A lot of people who are not interested in addressing their sexual mortality in that way. I'm fine because, for women, we just keep quiet,
Right.
and,
Yeah. Yeah.
but for men, sexual prowess is synonymous with manhood. And so who's really going to come out and say, hey, I got a problem? Some will, but some don't.
And is it really a problem, right? It's just right? Like if it
It's a
was
function
corrected.
of life. It's a function of life that needs to be addressed.
So
It's a
what's interesting to
function
me,
of aging.
it's part of
Mm-hmm.
aging. It's the package,
Yes.
right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
package.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Sheila,
Yeah.
so you mean to tell me that there's all these products out here,
Mm-hmm.
Viagra and the
Mm-hmm.
rest. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that
Blue.
ED
Mm-hmm.
is something, right? That's something kind of different, but the same. I don't know. But you mean to tell me that if low testosterone is the issue,
Mm-hmm.
it is something that can be corrected
Yes.
versus going this other route, right? Because all you're worried about is your member
Mm-hmm.
behaving and doing what
Mm-hmm.
you want it to do.
Yeah. There are, again, just like estrogen, there is a trajectory. There is food as medicine. Strength training for men is amazing when it comes to helping to restore testosterone. Zinc. You've heard people, did you remember? I don't know, growing up, my grandfather used to eat oysters all the time. I
Right.
couldn't figure out what's the, oh, now I got it. Because they call oysters an aphrodisiac. Oysters have a lot of zinc, which is good to help produce testosterone.
Right. And I was reading about that, like fatty fish, ginger,
Mm-hmm.
spinach,
Mm-hmm.
broccoli, Brazil nuts, but okay, and avocados. But all right.
Mm-hmm.
So we say all the time, food is
Mm-hmm.
medicine,
It absolutely is.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's really talk about this for a second as relates
Okay.
to hormones.
Mm-hmm.
How much, like, first of all, you can't even eat 20 Brazil nuts at one time. You can only max have what, 3 or 4, right? So
Mouth is dry and
dry
full.
anyway, and you are full after 3. Like you feel like you ate a full course meal after 3 Brazil nuts. All
Right.
right. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, like, how much of these foods are you
Mm-hmm.
eating, right, to get relief from these symptoms for men and women?
So what we have to do is we have to look at the food as better, healthier lifestyle. We have to then measure where we are again. If someone is insulin resistant, eating a lot of Brazil nuts may not be the best thing because nuts have good fats. They're also carbohydrates. So
You,
you don't want to have to find yourself having to have, now I need insulin because I've been trying to sort out one problem. Now I have another problem. Again, the reason why I say test is because we have to figure out what's happening and what is the best route for the actual individual, right?
yes.
If you have a shell allergy, you may not want to go over and mess with those oysters, right? So again, knowing your body and knowing where you are, food is medicine, or it can very much so be, a danger to you. When we look at, again, protein, and we need to talk about that. When we look at getting the right amounts of protein, I have my vegetarians who say, oh, I get my proteins from lentils. Yeah, after you have a diabetic, pre-diabetic blood sugar spike,
Right.
you got, in
Right. It
we
sends
have
you right
to
through
be
the moon.
realistic. you know for this amount of protein you're eating this amount of carbohydrates, and then you're frustrated because you're gaining weight and you're a vegetarian. So again, education, and also having some understanding, or having someone to help guide you who has understanding. The more I'm in this field and the more I see patients, the more I know that going it alone, you can, but going further,
Ooh,
you
that was
should.
good, Dr.
Yeah.
Sheila. You know somebody wants to join us.
Well, come on. Oh, I think this will be great.
Somebody wants to jump in here and
Preach to the
uh,
males.
huh? Somebody's trying to get in, and we're gonna
Oh, there he
somebody
is,
wants to get in.
Brother Jones.
Look,
What's up, guys?
here's my buddy. Here's
How
our
are you?
buddy, our compadre, Big
Hey, Brother
Ron Jones in the
Jones.
What's
building.
going on, gang? Hope everybody's good. Everybody doing good?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
And yourself?
okay,
Fantastic.
cool. I hope I'm in a great place for a good signal. Me and Sheila, I love what listen to this conversation. Me and the doctor here, we routinely go good cop, bad cop. I'm gonna go bad cop for a quick
Okay.
second. This is probably the worst time on earth, human history at least, to grow old, because it is the easiest time to also grow unhealthy. So while it is great to make sure we're watching our natural aging process, we can also be in error ourselves, which means not controlling our own health.
Mm-hmm.
So before I show up at my doctor's office, I want to make sure I'm doing all that I can do on my own, making sure there's a difference between simple unhealth and aging,
Mm-hmm.
which means I want to have an actual game plan in place. I want to be doing my cardiovascular health. I want to be strength training. I want to also be watching my diet, very mindful of that.
Mm-hmm.
From there, we're going to see what more I need help with. You'd be very surprised, though, on which things are actually unhealth versus actual aging.
Mm-hmm.
Again, playing good cop, bad cop here.
Well, hold on a second. The future Dr. Ron Jones. Okay. Anywho's, I think that my challenge with what you're saying is that sometimes people don't know what they're doing, right? So they
Yeah.
need to show up at Dr. Sheila's office because
Mm-hmm.
they like, look, I have no clue in what the heck is happening to me. Or, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Especially somebody like herself who is fit, like you, right? People need help,
And they need
right? And even though
guidance.
I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, for instance, I would have never known that I had to start eating differently. Like I told you, we had this conversation. I was a huge subscriber to a clean keto lifestyle. It
Mm-hmm.
worked for me. It got me in the best shape of my life. When menopause came, it was like, that's just not
It
like,
doesn't work for you.
it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not have known that until a nutrition, the functional medicine office that I went to had a nutritionist, and she was like, yeah, I really think you should switch to a little bit leaner,
Mm-hmm.
right? Instead of that heavy fat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? No, how do you even do that? I didn't even know how to do it. I was
Because
like, what?
some fats can contain calories, which then contribute to the slowing down of the metabolism.
Which I had no
Yes.
clue. But
Mm-hmm.
so what I'm saying to Ron Jones is that, like even now, the reason why I feel like I need to show up in Dr. Sheila's office is because I need a little hand holding because something is happening again.
Mm-hmm.
And I need somebody who's going to get into the trenches with me and help me figure it out. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, makes a ton of sense. So Sheila's going to smile at you. She's going to nod her head as well. But let me tell you something. She's going to also tell you as you leave her office, whomever this new patient is, you've got to first do boom, boom,
Yes.
and boom.
Yes.
Now we're going to see what I'm doing is going to help you because all the Brazil nuts, all the additional omega-3, 6s, and 9s, all the extra creams and remedies and teas you want to use are going to help, but only after you have took that first step. So as you said a moment ago, you're constantly showing up to that gym for some effort. It may not yield the most because you do need some additional help, but you are showing up for that first part.
Good point. Yep.
You are intentionally you're intentionally going after your cardiovascular health and making mindful decisions. I don't care if it was a keto diet or if it was another kind of a high protein diet. There was still intentional, as the doc says, efforts in that direction. So as long as we first take those initial steps, I feel confident that now the symptoms that we may have thought were beyond us are actually within our own control. So empowering our people to make sure that we do know boom, boom, and boom need to be done. So like I say, my friend over here, she's going to smile at you and she's going to tell you some great things and got a great, awesome book that's going to help you. But that comes in after you have made and have been consistent in those actual efforts. We're all going to grow older, but will you grow older in the same way you're doing now, which is in an unhealthy fashion, and then now aging on top of that has compounded? Or will we have aging stepping in after we've already done our own efforts? Just
So
to
we
make sure
have
we
to.
have something to wake up to tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll wake up. You're going to schedule your appointment to see Dr. Sheila next Wednesday. But in the meantime, tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
there's efforts to
Right.
be made.
Correct.
So we have to talk about muscle and how
Yes.
muscle is, especially for the middle-aged woman, it is the center of your aging. And without it, we are going to be in this constant loop of, okay, I feel a little better, but then I'm feeling a little weaker, and I'm feeling a little better, and I don't understand. I'm doing all the things, but something's still not right. It is almost like juggling around a sphere that may not, it's just not working, because again, muscle is it's metabolic, meaning it's going to allow us to be able to manage our insulin. It's going to be able to help us manage our cardiovascular health. It is involved in making sure that the little bit of ebbing and flowing that we are doing, it does affect our estrogen levels. It affects all of those things. So while we're first trying to find out where we are, what's happening to us, the things that we should do relative to nutrition, but then we also have to look at the actual aging body. And that's why I said to you, if I propose to you that you could look and feel better, how would you feel? Because you absolutely can. We are darn near days apart.
Right.
And I feel, like I say all the time, the most in shape, the most fit, the most sensual and sexual that I've ever felt, and confident. I think we were on a post, as the old people say, I don't want your body for 20, 30, or 40. So all of that being said, there is a way to live different and not necessarily compare it to 20s and 30s, because it's completely different. In my 20s and my 30s, I thought skinny was it was what beauty was. Now for me, it's something different. So Brother Ron is right. I'm going to smile, but I'm also going to tell you, it's, I'll be good cop, but there are things that you have to make an agreement that you're going to do. It's non-negotiable.
And I agree with
Because
that.
it's going to happen. It is
a non-negotiable. Like,
it is definitely going to happen. That let's be explicit. That male erection won't always be at 100% rigidity as it was when he was 13. Bro, you're 53 years old. You're not trying to procreate anymore. However, it can still work, right? Your health can still have it working, but you believing that you should be, no, not quite. That's not how this thing works here. Ma'am, the same thing. Your bones are naturally going to become more porous over time. But did you know the same muscles that innervate those bones are the same muscles that are going to protect those bones? It's a natural
and I think that's the
process.
That's the piece that women miss, right?
Absolutely.
I was in the gym today. Okay, I took a class with my trainer, and it was like a hit. So it was deadlifts, it was running 200 meters, it was burpees and some push-ups. Right? There was a 64-year-old woman next to me, murdering it. You hear me? Rounding it out. Listen, and she had just gotten over a respiratory virus, so you could hear her coughing. But I'm telling you, she was killing it, round after round after round. And here I am, okay? We're moving at the same pace. I'm like, whoa, wait, right? Like, he's 10 years older than me. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we at the same pace here?
So,
okay,
I challenge everyone. So I challenge everyone at this point, everyone under the sound of my voice, I challenge everyone to make sure that they are in the healthiest possible place they can now, because next year, next month, next decade, you are going to be older, and trying to undo even more years of unhealth is made even harder. If you have been living unhealthy for the last 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, decade, it's going to be made infinitely harder at this point in time because we are older. We don't respond the same. So now
Mm-hmm.
is the time to take complete control, because trying to get this ship back on
Mm-hmm.
course at 45
Mm-hmm.
versus 50 versus 55
Mm-hmm.
is darn near impossible. And I don't want to sound dismal or bleak. You can make it better, but it's nowhere near quite the same. So this woman who you said has been killing it in the gym next to
Oh my.
you, I feel confident that she took control at a much younger age to make sure she didn't necessarily stop the aging
Mm-hmm.
process, but she slowed it.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
anything, perhaps she made it better than what it was.
Oh.
But this is something
Mm-hmm.
under
She
all of our
slowed it down.
control. All of our control. We all have control over this much.
And it's not
Not
a
to mention the mental reciprocity that comes from
and
that.
it's not a one size fit all,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are things to do. It's not just one, because I am sure that this 64-year-old who had the strength to kill the hit had some gasoline in the tank, and not just carbohydrates. I am sure, is either HRT or she's taking some type of
Well, she is,
supplement
because I
that's
asked her. I
and
asked
look
her.
at there.
I
And
asked
there
her.
you go. And there you go. So what I don't want people to take away from this discussion is you can cherry pick the things that you're going to do. It's a holistic, synergistic move forward into better, healthier aging. So that's food, that's supplementation, that's sleep, that's muscle building, all of that. They are all a holistic, synergistic piece to this thing.
And after we were together a few weeks ago, I took
Mm-hmm.
heed
Mm-hmm.
to what you guys were saying about eating before the workout,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I hadn't
How
done
you
it
feel?
in years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking years.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like 3 or 4, I mean like 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And at first it was weird because I was like, I feel full.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, and it was a piece that I would do. Like this morning, I had chicken breast this morning and a
Mm-hmm.
piece of Ezekiel toast,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
No butter, no nothing on it.
Okay.
And the workout was hard today, and it was hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I was able to get through it. It's almost like something kicks in, right? Like it's almost like a booster,
Yeah.
right? I noticed, right? And I do take NMN, so. All right.
But also, what you did was, the way digestion works, it starts in the mouth, but you've given it enough time for it to make it to the small intestines.
Mm-hmm.
When our food gets to the small intestines, that's where the magic happens. That's where new cells, new tissues, new organs, organ systems, that's where we assimilate. Now, we can have things like glucose and all that stuff start to release inside of the mouth, because mastication starts in the mouth, and it can go through the bloodstream, but you gave it enough time to give yourself fuel that you can use. So eating the Ezekiel toast 15 minutes before you go into the gym.
No, it was like an hour and a half. Yeah.
There you go.
It was about an hour and a half.
And give yourself simple enough meals so that your body can process it faster.
So
there it goes.
So like I was looking up things that will like foods that will naturally help boost estrogen, boost testosterone in men.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it interesting that for foods that are high in phytoestrogen, right? Legumes, flaxseed, right?
Flaxseed oil,
right? Or flax seeds, whatever,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
But but things that can hurt or drain testosterone, flax is one of those.
Okay.
So I'm wondering how that,
because we're different physiologically, right? I mean, making testosterone and making estrogen, they're two different hormones, and they travel two different pathways.
Okay.
So some foods just won't work, as opposed to giving you a physiology lesson. Some just won't work, right? And you know,
and to know who you are, this is why testing is the quickest, easiest way. We all know no one wants to guess and check for 3 months. If you simply test and check, you'll know off rip. So for some men, the additional versions of phytoestrogen that may come from soy-based derived products may actually help them out. But for some who may have too much, it's a true issue for you. But again, you don't notice until you actually test this. Now, you could go out here and guess And after 3 months, realize this ain't
My
for me after your knees have
boobs are getting
swollen
bigger.
and your boobs have doubled in size. Or you
Yeah,
could simply test and go right at the actual answer.
And this
right
is
there,
why you're saying
bullseye.
you can't go at it alone, right? I
You
feel like,
can, you
It's
can,
take a lot
but the hit
longer.
or miss.
but also
Yes.
it's like, people love to use Dr. Google, right?
Oh
And
God.
it's scary. Like I said, with this research I did, and so here I am. Let's act like I don't know YouTube,
It's a dance part.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went on Dr. Google, and Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Google said, well, I can't eat flaxseed. I can't
Well,
eat this. I can't don't
well,
have mint,
well,
right? Because mint.
Dr. Google gave me prostate cancer. So
It gave me ovarian cancer.
Right, like that. That's what I'm saying. Like it's that.
So leave it
Right?
alone. Leave it alone at 2:00 in the
At
morning. Leave it alone.
You have to, and that's why I'm trying to. The reason why I want to have this conversation. And Ron, thank you so much for jumping in. Actually, I was about to call you and say, hey, jump in. So we're thinking the same, right? But I feel like these conversations are important because people go at it alone. And I want to say this, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, right? Because I'm the queen of spending money on ancillary shit. Okay, I love extras.
I love
Right?
lotions and potions.
Baby,
Yes.
lotions, potions, bags, shoes, all the skin treatments, all of it, right? But sometimes you have to really recalibrate and make a decision about what's important. And in the last year, I have probably spent over $20,000 out of my own pocket to feed into my health care, right? I have insurance, but guess what? Functional doesn't take that, right? To get answers, right? Sometimes you have to give up the vacation that year.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to make some decisions. Oh, excuse me. Somebody asked, and Ron, either one of you can answer. Says, what are some foods that help naturally boost testosterone in men?
Is he allergic to shellfish? Can he eat oysters?
Oysters, okay. So yeah, Sean Brown.
Dark chocolate.
Dark
chocolate. Can he have dark chocolate?
Yep.
Has he been tested? Does he know if it's his actual hormones? Does he strength train? Because strength training is amazing for men and producing testosterone. Ron, you have some more?
No, absolutely right. So my only setback, and keep in mind, I am sponsored by supplement companies. My only issue when it comes to many of these boosters is that if you are truly deficient, a booster is a drop in the bucket.
There you go.
So I would definitely have you to truly go at the true fix versus putting around. Because while you're putting around, issues are coming. Again, earlier, Doc Sheila was being the good cop and she was talking nice to you. But that very same big stomach that's in your way, that same stomach, that fat is breaking down and actually aromatizing even the fat cell into more estrogen into your actual body. Not to mention, while it's doing that, I'll tell you this because I'm a black man, is the inflammatory chemical release of that breakdown is breaking down my cardiovascular health, my actual heart. So now here I am with a big old belly behind me, mentally not feeling good about it. I'm also boosting my estrogen levels. Beyond that, I'm inflaming myself. Beyond that, my internal heart, cardiovascular wise, is having issues. And now I want to play around with eating some selenium because it's inside of nuts.
On top of the actual weight of the belly, because it's sitting here and it's like carrying a suitcase, and you're making that very small fist-size organ work harder. And then you run down to the gas station and you grab a little pill that puts more stress. And so we have
Ron, that was new to me. Ron,
no, it's actually a thing. So it's fixing a symptom, and it's tricking you into believing that you are fit for intercourse, but the stress that it's putting on your heart isn't ready for it. Sheila's describing the external fat, and she was very nice in describing how much that fat belly means. But I'm gonna go ahead and scare somebody for a second here. When you look at that little red meat in the butcher's store, and you see a little white marbleized meat that makes it taste so good, that fat makes that red meat taste so good. That same fat that's sewn throughout that muscle is sewn throughout your cardiac muscle, your heart. So that same red beating muscle is being strapped and sewn through and marbleized with the same type of fat. Now that heart's trying its hardest to pump away, but you're restricting it with that fat. Now that fat is so tough. Tonight, I challenge anybody to go and grab some of that white fat from off that
And
steak
try to
and
pull it
try to
out.
rip it with your bare
Yeah.
hands. It's
No.
restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
So now picture what a cardiac event means.
Mm-hmm.
That heart's trying to move, but that fatty heart ain't moving too well at all. So
Mm-hmm.
before I just completely scare everybody, I just want you to know that the external outward indication
Mm-hmm.
of unhealth has already been set in place internally.
Right.
And we're at the wrong age for that part now.
The wrong age.
And again, right? Dr. Sheila, you know that one of my favorite doctors is Dr. Mark Hyman, and
Yes.
I
We
heard
love
him say
him. Mm-hmm.
all, and basically he says exactly what you guys are saying, exactly verbatim. You guys say
Mm-hmm.
the same things.
Mm-hmm.
You can always make a shift in your life. Right?
Always.
You can always make a shift. No, you're not going to get back 20 years, right? Whatever. But you can make a change. And I think that's the purpose of people like Ron Jones and Dr. Sheila,
Mm-hmm.
right? These are people that can help you facilitate change,
Mm-hmm.
right? To help you get on the right path so you can make informed decisions for yourself, because we're grown-ups
Mm-hmm.
and I hold the reins to my life,
Mm-hmm.
right? We all hold
Mm-hmm.
those reins,
Mm-hmm.
right? That you can make a shift, right? You
Of
can make
course.
better decisions. We know that there's going to be cake every now and then. We all know that there's going to be things,
Yeah.
right? But
you
it
can make
imperative. It is an imperative,
mm-hmm.
right? That we make better decisions, and especially women don't understand the importance of muscle, right? We don't understand it. I don't know why, but we don't understand it. So walking around the neighborhood a million times is great, but okay, is that going to help us from when we slip and fall, and is it helping us be agile, right? Is it
helping you to break it? It's helping you to break your muscle down further and faster.
Right.
So yeah, no, it's not. It's just not going to do at this age what it did for us in the previous age, because again, we have estrogen and progesterone and testosterone that are there to send messages to help us metabolize and to help us maintain a balanced state. So we also have something called cortisol.
Oh.
Cortisol is our stress hormone, right? And it is there to help us either run out of a burning building or run from a bear or stay and fight or whatever it is. It's a wonderful hormone to help us manage stress. Well, you take a body that is already ebbing and flowing, and as we reach this ebb and flow, the body tries to help out. Closer to not having a period anymore, we start to produce a different type of estrogen, which is made by way of the adrenal glands, okay, which is assisted by cortisol. So when you add cardio, which is a stressor, to that phenomenon, you're stressed even more. And here comes the body saying, we need more help. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to give you more cortisol. And let's not talk about life, because I'm in the middle of life. You've seen me talk about living life in between funerals and graduations. That's another burning bush. So you have three major, especially for us in this age group. And now you want to go and walk a marathon? Try it.
And do it consistently. Like I don't understand. It's very bizarre and weird versus going to the gym for 30 minutes and lift.
We double down. Because surely it's going to work if we do it harder, faster. It's like going to the television. You and I are old enough, we go bang on the TV. Why are you banging on the television? You're tearing it up.
Right.
But I'm going to bang harder.
Right.
Because there's something about doubling down that makes us feel like we're doing something better. Again, this is why it's important to go and be led by someone who understands where you are. Right?
So the awesomeness of this all is that the walkaway game plan we have is going to ultimately end up being balance. It's just absolute balance. We do know, of course, musculoskeletal system, you have to have some resistance training. That's great for the body. Cardiovascular health is extremely valuable as well. But when we start to tip in one direction more over than the other, then we're out of balance. Now the body itself is going to start doing some some pretty funky things and trying to strike its own
There you
balance. So I'm
go.
going to encourage everyone, as I said earlier, the cardio that you're doing, yes, there is fat surrounding your heart, so you're not going to just tap out right now. But I tell you what, if you can elevate your heart rate for a few minutes a day, you might only get 15 minutes in the morning time. That's cool. Eventually here it gets to 20, maybe even to 30 minutes. If you can get that heart to elevate it a little bit more on a routine basis, at no point in your day typically does your heart just simply beat at 130 beats per minute. That's
It's
boom,
not
boom, boom,
designed
boom,
that.
boom, boom. So you're not
It's not
typically doing that. So
designed.
let's intentionally set aside a time to elevate the heart rate just to exercise it. That's going to help it to loosen up and get rid of some of that fat from internal, okay? The cool thing is this is going to also reflect on the outside of you. Now, get into these muscles. These muscles aren't just for vanity,
No.
not just to show you a big bicep. These muscles are definitely going to be strong and also help, as Sheila said earlier, to elevate our natural basal metabolic rate, which means how much you naturally burn calories, right? So just trying to put all these things in place. As you said earlier, Stacy, we're not going to not have any more red velvet cake or not have any more of these indulgences that titillate our tongue, but we have to find that within a balance. So let's go ahead and strike out a balance, but balance can only be found when it's planned ahead. So this weekend, everyone has to plan out their upcoming week and know when, where, and how they're going to do all the things. Now simply live the plan. If not, life, as Sheila said earlier, is going to throw you to and fro. And when you have to move to and fro last minute, it's not the best decision. So the challenge here, you guys, is just to strike that balance of all these things, not to eliminate any one of them, though.
And
Not to
also, when we talk about strength training, a lot of people, and Ron, maybe you can speak to this more eloquently, at night, at rest, that's when you have metabolic activity happening relative to those muscles. That's when you're burning fat. People are thinking, oh, I'm going to be in the gym, I'm going to be sweating. Yeah, once you finish that, that is where the work as you're sleeping, that's where that kicks in.
And that's why those
Absolutely.
hours that you think all you need is 4 hours is the
No,
most insane thing that I have
it's insane.
ever heard. Who's saying that? Stop saying it because it's just not true.
Now imagine going to the gym, getting your workout in, low on estrogen, you go to sleep, and in 2 hours you are wide awake.
And that is a nightmare.
And
A
that's a nightmare.
full on Freddy Krueger nightmare.
So you're working against yourself.
Correct.
So this is what we mean about it being a holistic thing. You can't cherry pick because one affects the other. I'm tired as hell, but I'm wide awake because my hormones are completely wrecked. And I don't know which one they are, which one
And,
it is.
and we all know
And I will
sleep don't come easy at this point in time. Andropause and for some men in the whole menopause, and for some men the andropause here, sleep don't come easy. But you'd be very surprised on how much fatiguing yourself can actually help your sleep patterns. So go out here and actually exert yourself. I didn't say get out there and do too much too soon, because that's a recipe for disaster. Not doing too much too soon, bad idea. So definitely walk your way inside of there. This week alone, it might just be for the next 5 days. Get a 15-minute walk in first thing in the morning. Let's start there. You got a long life to live. Let's just start with that little bit there. And then from there, we'll look at making sure we do get breakfast in. You might not have a perfect meal plan, but at least just get breakfast in, perhaps, at a good time.
Yeah.
Let's just tiptoe these things into our life and not try and jump in 2 feet, because that's when you get overwhelmed and you quit.
That's a
You quit.
very good point, Ron.
Yeah.
That as I say, that bars like right there, like because again, it becomes so overwhelming because I'm the queen of let's tackle it all at once. Like
Let's do it all at once.
so we're gonna do the things with the nutrition, we're gonna do
It's
the
a
things in the gym,
marathon.
and
It's
then
not
I'm
a
going to
sprint.
do this, and then I'm gonna do that, and then
And
Yeah,
then
it's a
3 weeks go
marathon.
by, and I'm like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I can't do it. It's
I quit.
all of that. So that was sage advice.
absolutely.
And here's one thing I want to say about with the two of you. So I need everybody to understand what the synergy, what is happening with Ron Jones and Dr. Sheila. How do people work with you in concert with each other? How does this work? Explain.
The
So
first thing is okay, go ahead.
So I am a chiropractic physician and a functional medicine practitioner. What I do is help you figure out where your hormones are, what you need to do, and I send you off. Ron has been my go-to. Look, I work out. I pay a trainer to help me figure out my muscles. I can't figure it all out. Just because you know doesn't mean you should. So Ron is the guru when it comes to the menopausal, perimenopausal, learning how to strength train, and he also has his own nutritionist. Well, I won't be his mouthpiece and his spokesperson, but you go ahead, Ron.
No,
This
that's
is
100% right.
yeah.
So once you've been told, as you've been told multiple times, but now she's giving you more explicit walking instructions. I'm
Mm-hmm,
kind of where the rubber meets the road at. So you've been told to eat better, but what does that mean? Ask
mm-hmm,
yourself, what does eat better mean? You don't quite know. This is kind of where my part comes in at. But at the same time, though, because I've been doing this for such a long time in this demographic, I'm going to be a little more adept to getting you into an actual sustainable plan.
a
As a
plan.
trainer, I'm going to tell you all these other trainers out here, okay? First off, personal training is one of the biggest, largest occupations that has jumped since the economic downturn. Not this one, not the last one, Obama era. When everyone lost their jobs, personal training skyrocketed because you needed no certification for it. I got myself into shape. I can get you into shape. Wrong. That's not how it works. Women aren't
Mm-mm,
little men.
mm-mm.
So what we do is there's an actual
And
approach to
thank you for saying that, Ron.
there's
Seriously,
an
thank you for
there's an
saying
there's an
Yeah.
approach to a sustainable journey. So
Mm-hmm,
before I sink or swim someone with an overwhelming journey off rip,
mm-hmm,
using your vigor against you, I'm
mm-hmm,
going to create a plan that's sustainable, and it will definitely pick up with this. I'm going to tell
mm-hmm,
other trainers around us now, commonly here, they'll promise you all the good things
mm-hmm.
and throw it all at you. And if you fail to uphold all the tenets that were given to you, it's on you, is what they'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's
my
your
job is
fault.
to kind of show you how to work this in a sustainable way. Yes, you will be receiving results all the while, but you'll be having sustainable results,
Mm-hmm,
sustainable journey.
mm-hmm,
Things you can keep going, but I have to be in talk with you. This is why my clients talk to me directly because it's not one size fits all. I need to hear from you. I didn't know what you failed
mm-hmm,
at before.
mm-hmm,
And they're going to be committed. And then now I'm going to see what you can do for the next 6 weeks and
mm-hmm.
6 weeks and 6 weeks. All the while we stay in contact the whole time. But you got to follow my plan because if you're not, there's nothing worse to me than going back into my own design, trying to figure out why my design ain't working. Lo and behold, you know what it was.
It's you.
all along,
And
all
You
along.
know,
and let me also speak to a plan.
Yes.
A lot of us again are living life in between. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us are business owners, a lot of us are CEOs, a lot of us are in leadership positions.
Mm-hmm.
Adding another freaking thing to our scale sometimes can tip it. And so I was just having this conversation with a patient today, and she said, well, is it food that I like? Well, sometimes we have to change the paradigm in the mind state.
Mm.
For me, I know what I'm going to eat right now, Monday through Friday. I have been through the most tumultuous aspect of my life in the last 3 or 4 months. Had I not had a plan, which also equates to security, I had gates around me that I knew I was going to have food to sustain me while I walked this walk. So sometimes having a plan really, really saves you. And so this nuance about, do I like it? Well, the purpose of food is to nourish the body and make new cells, new tissues, new organs, organ systems. The human organism changes every few months. You are a new creature. Food, liking it, yeah, it's like sex. Sex feels good, but it's about procreation. It is about having the tools to properly make a new individual. So if we could change that thought of, first it needs to taste good, then I'll take it if it's healthy, to the discipline of understanding that I am using this food as a tool. And guess what? I might like it. Some of that, again, it starts in the mind, right? And how we look at this trajectory.
100%. It's like the whole alcohol thing. We talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I didn't have a problem,
Mm-hmm.
but I like it,
Mm-hmm.
right? I loved
Mm-hmm.
it. And
I
I
love
enjoyed it when
cheesecake.
I went outside,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
guess what? What I realized was that this is not benefiting me at all. My behavior changes. I feel like trash the next day, and sometimes even another day thereafter. So I just
And if
stopped.
those hormone levels are ebbing and flowing, boy, that sugar will knock on a hot
And
flash.
Well,
not to mention the whole time here, if a diet or a plan is created for you that is improper, your body will naturally cry out for things.
There
So
you
you can
go.
sometimes be fighting temptations you don't have to fight. A
Yeah.
common one is, yo, I have a hankering for sugar. I do good all day, but when I come home, I just gotta have something sweet. Well, it's a reason behind that. And the
That's a
most common
reason.
one might be simply you having no carbs your whole live long day. And by the time you get home, your blood sugar levels are so low, your body's
Mm-hmm.
crying for anything to elevate those sugar levels. So
Mm-hmm.
you're right. That Twizzler, that fun pack of M&Ms is just enough to hit that sweet spot, you say. So
Mm-hmm.
there's so much more to be revisited when it comes to nutritional plan.
Right.
It's not about simply avoiding
Right.
or saying no to everything. It's also about, as I commonly say, inputting things. I oftentimes give you things that you need that I know are going
Mm-hmm.
to help mitigate certain hunger pains or to
Mm-hmm.
mitigate certain kind of muscle pains or the smallest things you're looking past, there's no remedy to. There actually is one. I kind of spent a long time finding those things. So preemptively here, I will definitely put those things in place for you.
and Ron, and you know what? You just said something that just clicked in my head,
Tell
and I
me.
have to tell you, I've never heard anybody say what you just said. Oh my God. About you wonder why you have a sugar craving. It's because you haven't had carbs all day.
So you're
All right.
fighting
So I'm going to
temptations the
pocket that.
whole.
I'm pocketing that. I'm
Yeah,
pocketing that.
you're fighting temptation the whole day, and it's pointless. So you're doing it to your own self, setting your own self
I'm
up for
pocketing that.
disaster. So
Somebody just
definitely,
asked, hold
go
on
ahead.
really
I'm
quick.
sorry.
Somebody asked, should one worry about the scale when trying to drop fat and with lifting weights?
So there's a common nuance here that everyone talks about. Forget the scale. Well, forget the scale to a degree, but there are definitely some populations who need to watch that scale. And sometimes simply getting that number down is the first priority. So the scale won't be the only tell of the tape,
Mm-hmm.
but it will definitely be an indication of what's happening for some. So if I have someone here who goes that big scary O word, if I have someone who is morbidly obese, you should be walking around here plus 220. So I do have to get you down to a safe weight. Now from here, I will be a little more precise in how I come at you. But by and large, for many of us, the scale won't tell you all that to happen, but it definitely does mean something. Does that make sense? So I don't want to
Yeah.
simply hop onto the train of saying forget the scale. It
Right.
does mean something for
Right.
many.
Well,
It's all relative.
it's also saying something, right, Dr. Sheila, because you said that the body sends signals, right? Like all these different hormones are sending signals. And as we're putting on weight and all this other business, and maybe you're not overeating, maybe you're not doing all those things, because I experienced that, and you're not
But again,
understanding why.
but
And you
again, taking that knowledge on its own, just by itself, can be misleading,
Yes.
because someone at my weight should probably not look at the scale,
No.
because I have a certain amount of lean muscle to fat, and I could eat too much salt and have water holding, and I can be 5 pounds heavier. Someone who is morbidly obese, like Ron was saying, needs to get to a safe place. So dropping some pounds initially is the goal. But again, you don't know that until a professional is able to assess you and walk with you through that process.
so if you're not talking to your actual practitioner, or if you're not actually talking to your actual trainer, are they really training you or training the idea of who you are? This is the difference
Ooh,
between personal
bars.
training versus training. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes personal when you're actually
Yeah.
dealing with the true
Mm-hmm.
person. So from person to person, it will change. By the way, a little small notion here, because I see it too much, and because it's a bunch of us in the room, I'm going to talk to us for a second. The idea that we should never look at that weight scale, again, that's very bothersome to me, because under that guise, we can feel like, oh, the scale says I'm obese, but that's actually an antiquated technology or an antiquated idea. It's not. You see yourself at least twice a day naked in the mirror. You
You
know.
know.
I didn't say something about, I said nothing about beauty.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if there's an excessive amount of accumulated fat in the most dangerous area you know of, which is that actual center section. And the enlarging of your breasts is the same cortisol deposition area of your stomach. So don't
And
get
a
it
breast
twisted.
and a breast reduction
Is not
is
fixing
not,
what's happening.
there you
That's
go.
visually going to be more appealing to you, perhaps, maybe even relieving on your back. But that center section fat is still indicative of a much larger issue. We need to learn to be going to the gym or being healthier without having visuals be the whole goal. You know what? We said gym a second ago, real fast. You don't have to even be in a gym. I
Mm-hmm.
promise you that. If you want to be a
Mm-hmm.
bodybuilder like me,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps, you want to get onto
Mm-hmm.
a stage like Sheila did a few months ago, perhaps, but resistance training is
Mm-hmm.
just that, resistance. It doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
weights. It doesn't mean dumbbell. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean barbell. It means anything that resists your muscles. So an actual resistance band, as I keep talking about, is creating resistance.
Mm-hmm.
That's plenty enough. You don't
And
have to go to a
sweat.
gym and do squats.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be in a donkey kick position. You don't have to have your
Mm-hmm.
boot tooted up in a 3-point stance either.
Mm-hmm.
You just simply have to create some resistance to your muscles
Mm-hmm.
and you're okay. So don't believe you have to go to a gym to get that resistance or strength training in, ladies
Yes,
and gentlemen.
So,
that's right.
okay, let me get this last question here. So somebody asked, so are you suggesting just a healthy foods and caloric deficit until you're down to that 220 area?
If I could fight the guy who said caloric deficit, I'd fight him right now because caloric deficit is so not, I'm gonna hop out here. The caloric deficit is so not mindful of nutrition. We want to be
Right.
mindful of a healthy nutrition.
Yes.
We want to be mindful of healthy nutrition, not simply diet.
Mm-hmm.
And
So here's a quick little metaphor.
stop eating that trashy string cheese.
Here's a quick metaphor for you here, guys, or a good allegory, what do you want to call it? Um, if I decided every day to only have 3 Whoppers, a Whopper in the morning, a Whopper at night, a Whopper in the morning time, morning, midday, and night, probably going to be in a caloric deficit. But how I look eating 3 Whoppers a day?
Mm-hmm.
It's the difference between quality and
Mm-hmm.
nutritional deficit or caloric deficit.
Mm-hmm.
Caloric deficit versus nutritional value. That's the biggest thing
Mm-hmm.
here. And for the aging menopausal women, I've got to give you what I know is going to keep your body building and preserving muscle
That's right.
mass, which is rich in protein, moderate in carb. In fact, you may have more carbs now than you did in your 30s. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I do.
What does that
Yes.
mean, Dr. Sheila? You do. What does that mean?
Over the last year, I didn't like the way rice made me feel.
Okay.
But once I began this trajectory of muscle building and using food as medicine and as a
Mm-hmm.
formula, I have no issues whatsoever. But again, my lifestyle is holistic. I am in the gym, I go to sleep, I eat a certain diet, I take supplementation. So it's all the things. So I can't cherry pick one and say just because I'm now having more carbs, it's better. I don't want to give the false impression that I just added carbohydrates to my meals and okay, I feel better. That's what I mean. I'm able to better utilize the energy that I have that I didn't have because I've gotten in the energy from the rice.
So listen, y'all, I'm going to tell y'all, if you think Dr. Sheila's playing around, go over to her page, go follow her, and you will see how she looks at 52 years old. Okay. The proof is in the pudding. I don't care what anybody says, right? You
Yes,
can
this is
see,
true.
yes, the
There's
proof is in the pudding.
nothing that I advise patients to do that I have not done myself or willing to do myself.
Exactly. And I think that that's important. So
Mhm.
one, people know Big Ron Jones, right? But you know that he has all these different programs that you can take a part of. He and Dr. Sheila are compadres. So Dr. Sheila's the functional medicine piece. She's the hormone expert. Well, and Ron knows a lot about hormones as well. But I would suggest you align yourself with people like these two, okay,
Mhm.
to get yourself where you need to be. And unfortunately, it's nice to follow people on social. I think that's great because that's a way of supporting, but you're not going to get what you need to get unless you actually pick up the phone, send the email to them, and book the appointments, right? To understand exactly what is for you. Because on here, we're asking generic questions, but Dr. Sheila doesn't know what your blood work looks
No.
like, right? And then Dr. Sheila, as a result, is going to let Ron Jones know that, hey, here's the deal with this person. and here's the plan that you need. Here's what we need to be doing and being mindful of when you're training. So I would suggest you guys get some synergy, right? And look into getting some synergy with your medical practitioner in a Dr. Sheila and a fitness and wellness practitioner in Ron Jones. Yeah?
Yes.
Think about it. It's bigger than just following, right? And
It's bigger than following.
These little snippets,
cherry picking,
right?
Yeah.
Right? Like
that
you said,
can get you into trouble.
It can get you into trouble, and I think that we want to be better. So,
and it can
anyways, I don't want to keep everybody any longer, but
okay.
I want to thank both. Ron, thank you for jumping in.
Well, yeah,
okay,
for sure. I just want to tell y'all guys, this is I don't mind occasions being a bad cop. And I'm going to be the bad cop yet again. And I promise you we'll hang up with this little message here. God does not hold you accountable for things you don't know. But once you do know, now you're held accountable. With that being said, on every one of my social networks, there is tons of free content. My YouTube has free workouts there. There's resistance bands workouts there. My actual channels, all of them say Big Ron Jones, all have tons of free information there as well. True workouts. So even if you didn't give me an actual follow or a red cent, you're now held liable because you've now been told there's a place to take that first step. Sorry for everyone in this room, I just ruined it for you. You kind of can't get around it anymore now. It was free.
Well, and let me say this, and I appreciate you even putting that out there. But again, just like everybody on here has a job, owns a company, owns a business, selling something. These are two people that are offering something amazing, right? I mean, absolutely amazing, and something to get you over that hump. Like I told Dr. Sheila, I got to get in her office stat, right? Because we got to get to the bottom.
Something's up.
I know,
right? We all have a sense of what is happening with our bodies. We all have body
It's a matter of you're going to acknowledge it or not, right?
There you go.
And I'm the queen of like, hello, I need help. And if that help is even, guess what, Stacy? You just wrote down what you're eating every day, and guess what? Lay it off of it, right? Like I'm that person. Just lay off of it, right? And then it's like, okay, and then things start coming together. So I'm going to tell you guys, go follow Dr. Sheila. She has a website. She has all the things. You can get on her books. And I tell you guys, functional medicine is the way to go.
It's just amazing.
Google it. That part you can Google. It'll tell you what functional medicine is so that you can see the difference between conventional and Western medicine and functional medicine. And then get you a fitness and wellness practitioner in Ron Jones.
Fitness and wellness practitioner. I like the way that sounds.
Don't you like that?
That sounds good. But beware. Beware. If you follow me every morning, beware. If you follow me every morning being released, that's going to remind you of something you can't be doing. So beware. If you put your timeline, every morning, I'm going to tell you one more thing you got to do.
No.
We love you all. We love y'all.
Good talking
Thank
to you
you
guys.
so much. Dr. Sheila, we'll see you in a couple of weeks because, we're going to bring you back again because I want to do hormones. I like this edition of Ron Jones, though, toward the end, like halfway through. I feel like we should do it, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
We should do it.
He's in.
Right, Ron?
Word. I'm here for it.
All right, great. Guys, thank you for joining. Go follow Dr. Sheila. Go follow Ron. Get into it. All right. Everybody have a good rest of the day.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Night.